Yeah.
All right, guys, we're back. I got the front doors both done. You can see I got the hood up. This still got a 30-day tag on it, and I think what it has is a bad battery because right after I got done cutting the front window, which doesn't take very long, the front windows, I guess, it had the little light on the dash. It said start vehicle, battery low. And then after I started it, let it run for a while, let it charge, and then it said service charging system. It's pretty common on the GMs, I guess, when you have a bad battery or an alternator that's not charging sufficiently. So I just threw the battery charger on it. We'll get this done. This is the last set of windows that we have to have power for. So I'm just gonna go ahead, make this cut right here on the back. You see, I did not start all the way at the top. I started kind of down, an inch or two. Let me show you why. See, if we look through there, look at this back window. You see we've got a radius that comes down there, and then we've got to worry about this top edge. And then you can see where it's got the rubber seal or trim or whatever, that right there. So let's roll this back up. I'll show you on this what we're talking about. Super dark, pitch black. So right there, so we need to get our film at least past this mark. Several ways you can do it. What I like to do on these is cut this top edge. Man, got something in my throat. But anyway, cut this top edge and then line it up with your bottom edge and then round it a little bit, because it's kind of the same way with the front windows. If you get too much, if you try to stuff too much back in these seals, it's just going to crease up. Now, if you absolutely had to, you can kind of reach a knife back in there and trim it out, but that's risky, and I don't like to do it. So, that being said, we got our back edge cut, and we'll go ahead and just pull this forward just a little bit. Pull it down just, maybe a 64th. So we're good and covered here. Oh, our top one slid and our bottom one didn't. So this is the worst part about double cutting. Normally I don't have this issue, but I've been switched to Fusion All Type, and it's just a learning experience. Getting used to it versus Dawn dish soap that I used to use. So give it a little bit of a spray here just to get a tack. Give me something for my hand to slide across. Anchor this edge down. You'll get a lot more clean and consistent cut that way. And we're just going to kind of feel where this is and go for it. Same way with the front windows. Try to keep your angle consistent. Getting off just a little bit. I'll go ahead and just snap a little bit more blade out. All right. Okay. All right. So now, come back here. I want to just connect the dots basically. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually trim just a little bit off this radius. And you'll see why. ahead and take our bottom corner. We just do that so that it doesn't snag on these seals over time and doesn't cause us any problems. So this is where the real magic, if you will, did I just cut myself? Almost. If you will, comes into play. So we could freehand that, but man, that's gonna be pretty tough. So out comes the 24-inch ruler. Now the problem with this is it's not perfectly straight all the way down, so you need to line up basically where it is straight. Okay. And of course I didn't cut both layers. So anytime I have you know, something like this where it doesn't cut all the way through, I don't come back and push harder. I just snap, get a new blade, and then I'll come down through. And then you're really just following the line you already got. You just, as long as you don't push one way or the other, the blade pretty much just wants to follow where you already cut, with that exception right there. Remember, like I said, we're gonna round this off, so it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna come right about here. Round that off, boom. What that's gonna do is just make it a lot easier for us to tuck that in. We're still gonna be well behind this, so it's gonna look good from the inside and the out. But yeah, that should get it. And if not, we'll just do it again, right? All right, where to leave my heat gun? Right here. All right. Same thing we always do here. So go ahead and wet that one down. That just keeps me from having to drag the hose all the way across there. Pull this off gently so we don't crease it, crinkle it, anything like that. So if anybody cares at all, I'm just charging that battery on 12 volt, 2 amp. So not like a super high powered charge. It's just a really basic battery charger, so I don't really trust it anyway. Like I would never just charge a car and then leave it. Like throw it on the charger and just walk away, and especially on like 6 amp. But here we go. Same way, I'm gonna leave it down. Come in here, let's roll it up just a touch. so we can start cleaning. I already razor bladed this window because I wasn't sure if it had been tinted or not and had the tint removed. It's a lot more difficult to tell when you've got the factory tint on it. Because I did see some adhesive, but I think it might have been like one of the window sticker things that they use at the dealerships. Could be completely wrong, but I've already razor bladed it. So now all I gotta do is scrub, wipe it down, squeegee, and stick. Now if this goes right, this should come out looking real nice. So I want to just go ahead and try to get any crud off that top edge. I think we should be able to make that work pretty well. Go ahead, wipe that. Shank. GMs are actually really easy to remove this weather stripping on the bottom here. If that's something that you want to do, it would make it a little bit easier on the fronts. I don't think it would save you a whole lot of hassle on the bottoms, because you couldn't really bottom load it anyway because of this top edge. But I just don't really like taking cars apart unless I absolutely have to get a good result, and this is one that I don't have to. So another thing is, this is a 2010, I believe, so you know, it's not brand new by any means. And why that's important is, in my experience, man, you got an older vehicle that's been hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. The clips that hold that panel in are going to get real brittle, and you stand a really good chance of breaking them when you take them off, take the door panel off. And if you do that, you know, you could be shady and just not replace them. I mean, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say shady, I just don't think that's the right way to go about it. So you could just not replace them, and then the customer, you know, may or may not come back because the door panel is rattling, or, you know, what have you. I mean, heck, there's a good chance they may never even notice. It just depends on where you break one, how many of them you break, all that fun stuff. So I just don't like to I just don't like to run the risk. So why we cut out some of this radius here is because obviously we're going to need just a slight gap on the back side here. So if we would have left that alone and we shifted this forward just a little bit, we'd overhang on this side. And I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but dude, it's just perfect. I like to run a pretty tight gap, like a, I don't know, 64th millimeter. Sometimes, you know, the pattern kind of shifts or whatever, especially if it's hot and it kind of tacks up, not quite where you want it. It is what it is. I'm not going to redo a whole window just because the gap's not super perfect. I've seen a lot of other people's gaps, and this is more than acceptable. So I'm going to use a little foot here. This is one of my new favorite squeegees. So now, tricky thing is, if we roll this up, this is going to want to try to crease on us. So we're going to try to fold it in like that, then roll up the window, go ahead and give it a mist, get that glass wet. Go ahead and get the film wet. Try to get this where it needs to go. So because of our gap being so tight, we didn't even end up having to, we didn't even get below the sweep, below the weather strip, whatever you want to call it. But if you see right here, we may be too wide. Let me show you. We may be a little bit too wide. It could just be kind of pinched up right there, or it could just be too much. We're just gonna real gently start working this out. We want to, I want to get some more moisture over there, so I'm going to start pushing some of my moisture this way. All right. Now, could be just an issue with the weather strip. Could just be a little snug. We're just gonna real gently kind of try to push this down and out. Bam. Doesn't really get any better than that. So we'll just stick this in the corner just so we can get all the way to the edge. Might as well just run it across the bottom one more time. Same with over here. There you go. Now we've got no like light gap. You're not gonna see a big cut line here. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Caveman can do it. Really, if you're hand cutting, the biggest thing that you're gonna learn is, you know, you just got to do it. Trial and error. You know, try this, try that. You just kind of have to fall into a pattern that works for you. Like I always like to cut the left edge first because I'm right-handed. I always like to cut on the driver's side. I know a lot of people don't. They recommend against it. You know, pros and cons to everything. I don't like cutting on the passenger side because it just, you're coming across your top edge, you're hitting the rear view mirror and all that stuff. It's just, I'm right-handed, so this works better for me. And then, you know, the first time I did one of these body style trucks, you know, I just kind of rounded it, but I'd shifted it enough that, you know, it looked all right. But then when you look at it on the inside, you look at it in the sun, especially if you're only doing like 20%, it's like, could I have done that better? And then I don't know how you guys are, but I lay awake in bed at night thinking about how I could have done things differently, made them look better or whatever. And that's what I came up with. So, you know, it's not super rocket science or anything like that. We're gonna make sure we unlock that. I always like to leave one door open on the vehicle at all times because sometimes you'll get older cars or cars that just have weird little electronic gremlins and they'll lock onto you. Like yesterday I did a car and the guy brought me the spare key with it and he was like, yeah man, just be careful, sometimes it just decides to lock on its own, so be aware of that. I was like, oh, all right, cool. So gotta pay attention. So with that said, I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna go do the other side. I'll bring you back. We'll do the sunroof, and then we'll tackle how to remove this, which is super easy, and we'll get everything ready to install and prep the windshield. So thanks guys for watching another one. I'll see you in a few minutes.